All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course. We will pause, unpause. Actually, I don't know that that's working. Yeah, that works. Okay. We had a little bit of a glitch over on Rumble. So for those of you waiting on Rumble, yes, indeed. It took me an extra second. We've got a number of news topics we have to talk about today. Some things are a little bit on the bizarre side. This is from The Hill, by the way. Trump is right. The census should not include illegal residents. When The Hill is agreeing with a Republican president, he probably got a consensus, by the way. Trump zeroes in on federal takeover of D.C., while city officials remain deferential to him. Probably because they understand the Constitution, which is more than we can say for most blue areas of the country. Inside the DSA convention, where socialists declared dominance over Dems and set their sights on 2028. Yeah, the Democratic Party's got a real big problem brewing. This is like a ticking time bomb for them. New York State could owe $10 million for internet famous Peanut the Squirrel's execution. Also, the raccoon named Fred, which typically, for some reason, gets less hits on the internet. Not exactly sure why. Bernie Sanders is rambling again. Bernie Sanders thinks Democrats have turned on their base. Now it's time to fight back. That's a great idea. Let Bernie Sanders lead the fight. He's been doing it since the 1970s. He's been very, very successful. And then we have to talk about mRNA jabby McJab risks in the context of the Christopher White case. We're going to have to mince words when we talk about this because I am live on YouTube, of course, as well. And so you have to be careful about what you say. Otherwise, you end up fucking McBand. I haven't seen Democrats crash out this bad since the Reconstruction era. Yeah, they're crashing and burning at an amazing pace, actually, at the moment. It's almost a thing of beauty. Because my hope is that their party does crash and burn completely. And then hopefully something better rises up out of the ashes. Party of JFK sort of style. Copium poppies. 1 out of 3. Hey, if everyone watching can do us a huge favor, there's this commie rat with a very punchable face that's been stalking us cross-platform creating new accounts to circumvent blocks. It got butthurt because we mocked it for having pronouns in its bio when it was taking part in dogpile against us and has now created an account impersonating us on X. Please mass report the user at Copium Poppies, that's with the E in it, E added in Copium, for impersonation and harassment. So that is COPEIUM Poppies. Oh yeah. Speaking of clank, by the way, I still have more tea. We'll be talking about our sponsors in a moment, too. We'll get to the first news story first. Ramon C. GTC, nuts out for peanut. Yeah, they euthanize these fucking animals for absolutely no reason, and I think it's a unifying issue, as I pointed out earlier, because I can't find a single person who thought it was a good idea. Trump is right. The census should not include illegal residents. This is an opinion piece on the goddamn Hill, by the way, and the Hill tends to be more than a little bit left-leaning. So I think that this is a winning issue. I support Trump in attempting to redo the census. I do not believe that individuals that are illegally in the country, or even temporary residents, should count towards census totals because they can't vote. If you can't vote, why should you be counted in the census total? It makes absolutely no sense. Why should you get representation when you're not even legally in the United States? Now, if you're talking about people with green cards or something like that, That I can understand, of course. Legal immigrants, lawful permanent residents, those should count towards the voting total. But other than that, no. It should only be U.S. citizens that are counting towards census totals. This would, by the way, considerably redraw the map of the United States as far as representation. Now, illegal immigrants and temporary residents, they can't vote, but they do still count towards the census total. Trump is trying to change this. This is exactly what we voted for. I don't have any problem with a temporary resident being in the United States, but I don't think that they should be counted towards the actual census total for a congressional district or for state voting purposes. It makes absolutely no sense. So you're saying that your state gets an extra 3 or 4 electoral votes simply because there are a bunch of illegal aliens living there? Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think that it makes sense to the average person. This is not a radical concept. It's not a radical concept to think that only people eligible to vote should actually be counted in the census, or people that will become eligible to vote. Again, lawful permanent residents, children who happen to be citizens, of course, they would be counted in the census. Other than that, though, illegal aliens, temporary residents, and so forth shouldn't be counted at all. Otherwise, I mean, hey, the liberals should embrace this. There are a shit ton of temporary residents all the time in places like Texas, also here in New England, where we have migrant labor to pick apples and stuff like that for all the NIMBYist liberals out there. So we get more representation in some of these zones, and oftentimes it leans left, honestly, and ends up in states, again, like Texas, which is trying to redistrict, or New England, places like that. They should not get disproportionate representation simply because people have moved into the state. If they are illegal, if they are migratory, they're temporary residents, so they're legally here, but they're only here for a certain period of time. Simply because they happen to reside in a place, the census will still census them, and therefore they're counted as a resident of that particular place. This, to me, is completely abhorrent. It makes absolutely no sense. And Trump is fundamentally correct on this particular issue. And this is a liberal opinion piece, by the way. So, before people say that it's a right-wing concept, nope, even liberals understand it's a bad idea. BW, worried about Wednesday. We should start a petition to Trump for Internet Bill of Rights. Also, did you see the chemical lab salmon? And what do you think of transhumanism? I agree with petitioning Trump on that issue. I did not see the story about chemical lab salmon, although if you send it to me on Twitter DM, I would be much more than willing to read that one. It sounds like a good video for tomorrow. As far as transhumanism, I oppose it. I oppose the concept of transhumanism on the basis that the human race will eventually be erased from the face of the earth anyway. Your spiritual body will never die. Your physical body will inevitably die. There's nothing you can do about it. So there's no reason for transhumanism. Lemon Curd Zero. Hey, Sticks. Hey, Lemon Curd. Wondering how you got that username. Must be a pie reference or something like that. Let's get to our sponsors before we get to the rest of the news. Then we'll end up with a Vance stream, and everyone seems to like that. We have cultivated-mind.com. Just came through with a couple new packets of mushroom pills. You can also get doggo snacks, of course, so you and your doggy can both be extra healthy. It's got extracts of mushrooms of various kinds, and it works really well. Trust me. Disclaimer, I am not a physician or anything like that, but in my own personal experience, I have seen the effects of cultivated minds products, so we'll leave it at that. Secondly, we've got BiltongUSA.com. Anton, who frequently appears over there in Rumble, can set you up with lots and lots of meat. He's got Wagyu, he's got Angus, he's got Cabanassi, he's got bison, he's got fucking venison, yeah, pretty much everything, along with the Bovrite, Vegemite, and Marmite. In fact, I should probably open up the new Bovrite. The other one got eaten, not without good reason. Delicious. He would say too salty, of course. And also, Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available. Then we've got jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com. You can get some Clanker coffee. It's some good shit, by the way. It's so fucking good. Yeah, I still got a few containers of that available. Or you can get tea. The Yunnan Jig is one of my favorites. Although I think the Fireside actually now is my favorite. It's got hints of apple, and it's I think that one's decaffeinated, so it doesn't have caffeine in it. It's mostly appley, and I think there's chamomile in there. I can't remember what the other ingredients were. Doesn't really matter, though. It's some fine tea. Want to have like a Clanker tea party or some shit. Copium Poppies. If you haven't seen Nine Inch Nails live, go see them on one of their remaining tour dates. Plenty on the East Coast. Saw them Friday and distributed a ton of our stickers, and this tour is not one to be missed. Sounds pretty cool, actually. Tacoman's Sandy Ravage. Gay marriage is heading back to the Supreme Court in late 26, just in time for midterms. Thoughts? I support gay marriage. I do not believe that the government should be able to deny effectively what is a property and medical contract to any consenting couple. Doesn't mean that you can force a church to perform a gay marriage. What I pointed out years and years ago is like the Episcopal Church was already performing gay marriages. Well, if you're saying that you're violating the constitutional rights of, let's say, the Catholic Church or some Protestant congregation by not giving out gay marriage certificates, how are you not also simultaneously discriminating against, like, the Episcopals or the Universalists for wanting to do so, having no problem with it? They're still registered religious groups, and they want to be able to do gay marriages. So, in my opinion, I don't care. If it's consenting adults, as long as it's not like child marriage or something, I don't care. I literally could not care less. Trump zeroes in on federal takeover of D.C. while city officials remain deferential to him. Now, this one was funny when I read through this article, because CNN makes it seem like a dire situation. They make it seem like, ooh, this evil authoritarian tyrant is trying to take over the entire city. He's going to barricade it off with the Gestapo or something like that. In the meanwhile, the reality is that Donald Trump is simply trying to clean out D.C., which is a federal district. It is under the control of Congress and, to a nominal extent, the President of the United States, as an extension of that. It makes perfect sense to clean out our capital and to make it good. As far as the people that are homeless, derelict, and so forth in the city, I do have empathy for them. I know what it's like to be poor and derelict. But that being said, having a singular zone in the United States, which is under specifically federal control, is quite literally what our founders suggested. The whole idea was that D.C. would not even have a city government. The fact that a city government even exists there is a fairly modern contraption. It doesn't make any sense. The whole goal was to have Congress effectively calling the shots within D.C. for the most part, and the chief executive would then execute, quite literally, the commands of Congress. That was the whole goal. To have an area that was completely independent so it could federally function and didn't have to rely upon any state. Because state governments, under the 10th Amendment, of course, they have more power in many ways, which is not recognized all the time, but generally speaking, states are the ones that call the shots. The idea, therefore, was to have an area of land that was not a state, but that was rather a federal district. That's the whole idea. Razorfist has explained this too fairly well. It was an early conception, because the problem is, if you're going to have the kind of government that the United States has, if you're going to have effectively a federation of different sovereign states that all pull together, if you're going to have any sort of central action made, minting of currency, deployment of military, legislation at the federal level, anything like that, you would have to have an independent territory in which they could actually operate. This is why when people talk about DC statehood, I laugh my ass off. You can't give DC statehood. It's literally unconstitutional. If you were to do that, you would have to induct a new federal district in a cornfield out in Iowa or something like that. You could, but it absolutely makes no sense. Just keep DC as DC. Trump is attempting to clean it out and to make it more inhabitable for the people that live there, as well as make it more inviting for foreigners and for the millions and millions of tourists that come there every single year. This makes sense. It makes our country money. It helps with the diplomacy, and generally speaking makes it cleaner and generally better. That's not to say that I don't sympathize with the people that are, down and out in D.C. I do. But they're not going to be able to do it in D.C. anymore. He's effectively attempting to federalize the city. I agree with this. The city of D.C. is unique in the United States. It's not like Chicago or Los Angeles. Those aren't federal districts. They're just cities within states. D.C. is, in and of itself, its own city-state, effectively. So it makes sense for them to try to clean it out and to try to make it, again, habitable for the people that are in the general surroundings. You have a massive crime rate in D.C. I liked the other day, they were trying to fact-check J.D. Vance over D.C.'s crime rate, right? And the only thing they could do was bitch about the fact that the infographic that he shared mixed up a couple of the flags, actually, of the countries. Because they couldn't argue with the statistics, so they defaulted to that. It's basically the equivalent of, you used the wrong word and therefore your argument is invalid. I've seen this before, by the way. But yeah, oh wait, did I close out the wrong one? Oh, no I didn't. Okay, good. BW sent 2 links on X sticks. I'll have to check those out later. Thank you very much. Thunderstorm, opinions on brushing your teeth with baking soda for whitening. I prefer charcoal, actually. It seems counterintuitive because charcoal is, well, black. But actually it'll scrub out stains really, really easily. A couple of applications of activated charcoal and your teeth will be as white as pearls. Spirit Matter. I saw Bowie Thin White Duke Tour, 1976. Ah, you lucky bastard. I wish I could have seen David Bowie when he was on tour back in the day. Especially in the mid-70s. CZO, I'm noticing my peers, especially Gen Z men, adopting certain conservative lifestyles. Beliefs about religion, family, and politics are becoming MAGA. Yeah, I've noticed this too. For people who are older, I'm approaching 40. For the millennial generation, I find that millennials are too judgmental of their somewhat younger peers. Yeah. I think the problem is that when people get older, they tend to get more judgmental and they tend to get nostalgic. I myself do not. There are a few things that I miss. I'm a little bit nostalgic for like Gillingham's and the fact that there were no computers in checkout. Playing with the little snap pop things. You throw them against the ground, they go poof, and playing around with them on the pavement and stuff like that. I'm nostalgic for a few aspects of my youth. But mostly it's like family stuff. Like, I'm definitely nostalgic for some of the Thanksgiving dinners that we had. Oh man, let me tell you about that. Or, the fact that things didn't cost $10,000. You want a banana? You better take out a loan. Other than that, though, I'm not nostalgic at all. Mm. Joey D, Thomas's Dairy. Yes, absolutely. Okay, I'm nostalgic for that. I remember there was a dairy here, Thomas's Dairy. It was literally within walking distance of here. You could see the cows. They were free range. It was obvious that they were well cared for. And, they had the best milk. But they went out of business thanks to lockdowns. Thank you, Biden. It was really great. The Gunslinger. Hello, I'm David Bowie. Kicks Iggy Pop in the face. He's my favorite Venture Bros villain and my favorite JoJo villain, lol. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. Political ramifications if gay marriage is overturned. It won't be. There's a 0% chance that they overturn the existence of gay marriage. That's not going to happen. Ka-L chuckles. I miss seeing girls. Girls, girls, girls. There's all types of them. Anyway, let's get to more news. New York State could owe $10 million for internet famous Peanut the Squirrel's execution. Also, the unsung hero, the raccoon named Fred. Yes, indeed, the couple that was, I'll read a little bit of this verbatim. The owners of Peanut the Squirrel are reportedly seeking $10 million in damages from the state of New York after the social media star was euthanized last year. Peanut, also known as P-Nut, and a raccoon named Fred lived in a New York sanctuary run by Mark Longo and Daniela Bittner at their home in Southport, Chemung County. Both animals were executed after local and state officials took them away in a raid last year. Yes, indeed. Now, here's the absurdity. You got word from, I guess, a neighbor or some shit, if I remember correctly, that they had a raccoon and a squirrel as pets. And or you saw them online since they had millions of people watching them. You literally raided their property at gunpoint in order to, I don't know, I guess protect the community or something like that. Then you killed the animals for absolutely no reason. Can anyone please explain to me how in a million years this would make sense? I think that 99.9% of the population was aghast at what happened here. They absolutely deserve the damages. In the end, there'll probably be a settlement, but you got to admit, this is beyond the pale. Yeah, nuts out for Peanut. I'm like, you should be able to have any pets that you want. I mean, like, let's say that you adopt an animal from the wild. its parents are dead or whatever situation happens to be, you're adopting it, you're taking it in and taking care of it. It's not likely to be able to survive out in the wild anyway. Why should a state be able to tell you that you can't have a certain type of pet? I mean, is a squirrel really dangerous to the public? Is there really a danger of it getting, let's say, rabies and spreading it to other people? No, there's no fucking danger. Raccoon. Okay, raccoon may be more susceptible to rabies. Generally speaking, just wants to rub its little hands together and eat anchovies or something like that. Probably is not going to get sick if it's in an indoor environment and or a fenced-in enclosure. Why the hell did you kill them then? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But that's exactly what they did. It was effectively the state just flexing its arm and saying, look, we can do whatever we want. That was what happened. It was the state, basically showing that they can be nakedly authoritarian and get away with it. Now, they're probably going to have to pay as a result of that. I have a feeling that this lawsuit, by the way, will be successful. You euthanized animals with no legitimate reason. Okay, you have these animals illegally. We're taking them away. All right. Well, that may be legal, but then you proceeded to kill them. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure it doesn't make any sense to most of you. And the state of New York now has to probably pay the consequences. Copium poppies, nuts out for peanut. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we need justice for the little critters. What was that show there where that chick did her critter call or something like that? I think that's what she called it. And then, animals would come. I can't remember. I don't even know if it was a cartoon or live action, actually. The critter call thing. Ah, tea is so good. It's about 80 degrees right now and steadily rising, so I've got both tea and water at the moment. Yeah, what was that one show and there was that chick that did critter call? Oh yeah, Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah, Ellie Mae. And she'd be surrounded by squirrels and shit. Good show, by the way, Beverly Hillbillies. If you've never seen it, you probably should. This heat is gonna drive me insane, by the way. Oh, the Cement Pond, Lemon Curd Zero. Yeah. I liked that one episode of the Beverly Hillbillies where they were all lethargic and shit, and then they made some sort of horseradish-based elixir or some shit like that, and then they all got zipped up. By the way, spring horseradish admittedly is good. I've got so much of it back out in the garden. I can't wait to promulgate it further. Still have to redo the garden, but the horseradish and the chamomile and the garlic are doing fine. If you got those three, you got basically everything you need. Bernie Sanders thinks Democrats have turned on their base. Now it's time to fight back. This is from CNN Politics. I've got a mild rebuttal. I will admit, Bernie Sanders is fundamentally correct on one point here. The Democrats absolutely have turned their back on their base. They did that quite some time ago. That is unarguable, in my opinion. The Democrats have totally lost the working class, and there's a reason for that. It's not just turning their backs on them, it's providing solutions to problems that don't exist and ignoring problems that do exist because they don't know what the hell they're doing. But fighting back and trying to overhaul the Democratic Party in order to have a socialist movement is not the way forward. If anything, you'd just be doubling down on the problems that are already in the Democratic Party. Hyperregulation, mass migration, things like that have increased prices, depressed wages, and fucked the working class in the ass. The blue-collar working class that used to be fairly solidly Democratic flocked to Trump for a reason in 2016. It flocked to Trump for a reason in 2024. But Sanders doesn't know what he's doing, and he doesn't care either. He's in his 80s. He's clearly, I mean, he might run for the Senate again, but he doesn't have any presidential ambitions or anything like that. He's just going to be a thorn in the side of the Democratic Party, and he's found his Padawan in AOC. AOC is quite clearly his trainee. He's trying to rebrand her to carry on his revolutionary fantasies once he dies. That's basically what he's doing. I speak as a Vermonter. I am one of his constituents, actually. I mean, I didn't vote for him because I'm not crazy, but I happen to be a Vermonter. Bernie Sanders is one of my senators. He's an asshole. He's also a really weird dude. Like, he always jogs everywhere, like everything he's doing is so fucking important. And apparently, in interpersonal conversations, people have complained multiple times throughout Bernie Sanders' tenure that the only thing that he does is ramble endlessly about, like, you know, socialist issues and stuff like that. Like, he's to the right of Mamdani, but probably to the left of AOC, actually. I mean, he honeymooned in the USSR. So, apparently he's basically insufferable. Like, he has no sense of humor unless he's around his family. Those are the only people who ever see him smile. I've seen him several times in real life. First time, I guess, would have been the debate between him and Rich Tarrant. And I took second place, actually, in the write-up. I was in senior law, and we all went to the debate. And I took second place for my write-up, and it was published in the Rutland Herald. It's probably still archived somewhere over that particular debate. And then there was Rainville. I've got one of her books, by the way. She was in the military versus Welch, who now is in Congress. I think, did he become a senator or is he still a representative? I can't remember. I think he became a senator. Anyway, that was the first time that I saw Bernie Sanders in real life. The second time was actually, we were driving down the street here in Rutland, and he was with a group of supporters who were, you know, they had Bernie Sanders signs. And the third time, he was coming out of the airport, and this is a funny fucking story. He's coming out of the airport, and he's pretty much jogging across the road. And at the time, I was a liberal, so I'm like, keep it up, Bernie. He's like, oh, thank you very much. And then jogs, practically flies into the goddamn SUV, along with his staff. And it was very, very funny. Good times. I see Sigil is here, my friend. Mein Freund. Let's see. Mr. Buster Pants, watch the Peanut Crypto. Oh, God. Yeah, but Bernie Sanders, by all accounts, is a little bit on the awkward side. There's probably a reason for this. Might be the communism, just saying. Urgent. We need an independent and transparent investigation of mRNA jab risks from the ground up. I can't say the actual name of the virus that we're talking about. We do. It has now become clear that there were health problems that were disregarded by the U.S. government, that were disregarded by the CDC and so forth. I'm not allowed to criticize the WHO on a YouTube live stream, but if I could, yeah, I might do so. take that as you will. The fact is that the Jabby McJab that was unleashed on the world, it's funny, the first one came from Russia, actually, which a lot of people don't remember. It was literally the Sputnik. That came from Russia. Then you had the Oxford from England. Then you had Pfizer and all of these others, piling up. And so you had all of these different jabs that used basically the same methodology. But ultimately, supposedly we're supposed to achieve the same goal, which is to prevent people from getting sick. We were told initially, if you take this Jabby McJab, you won't get sick. They then backed down and said, well, you might get sick, but you'll get less sick. Then they said, well, you'll probably still get terribly ill, but, you probably won't die. Then they said, well, the effectiveness rate is like 30% or some shit like that. And they kept backing off over and over again. And a lot of people don't want to actually look into it. Number one, they don't want to get censored for so-called disinformation. Number two, they don't want to actually have to fathom the lengths to which our governments went to delude us. So they don't want to discuss it because it breaks their minds. The lie is so vast and the scandal so large that they just would rather ignore it. And this happens all of the time. The Nazis used to understand this basic methodology. Tell a lie so big that everyone will either believe it or leave it. They'll just leave it alone because it's such a big lie and they know that it's so obvious, but it's so comprehensive that they won't do anything to tackle it effectively. It's a psyop. It's a psyop strategy. Some of us employ those for good means. Like, for example, I like to convince people to help themselves. I want people to work out more, drink less, smoke less, improve their lives, get over depression and stuff like that. The system doesn't want that. If you stop smoking, you're not paying taxes on those cigarettes now, are you? If you stop drinking, you're not paying an excise tax on the alcohol. If you work out and get healthier, you're not spending as much in medical expenses. Therefore, you're adding less to the economy. It pays to have a bunch of sick people and addicts in the population. By the way, to those of you out there saying the Earth is flat, no, it is not. It is round. Holden Sneedmeyer on the coming Putin-Trump meeting. U.S. doesn't recognize ICC jurisdiction. Alaska is right next to Russia. Russian Orthodox Church has a presence there. Oh, I didn't know that the U.S. wasn't party to the ICC. Thank you for that. Sigil, I had to make yet another new Twitter account due to being labeled spam and manipulation. Auto ban and appeals auto rejected. Thanks, Musk. Yeah. F-word. I'm Sigilstone18 now on Twitter. Francis Barrett. When I was a kid, I lived in Burlington. I was at the mall one day and Mayor Bernie Sanders was at the mall. Do you have any relation to a Chris Barrett who used to live in Woodstock, Vermont? He was my best friend as a kid. Oh, we got in so much trouble. Man, that would be hilarious. I'd love to reconnect with that dude. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. I told the story, but I'll tell it again because it's hysterical. There was this one time, me and Chris Barrett, he was nuts and I was nuts when we were in elementary school. And he attacked some kid with a wooden pole because the kid was antagonizing him. And the other kid was running around and eventually ran off. And I was just sitting there laughing. Then we went down the street raising hell. We had snap pops and we were throwing them around. Got bored of that. Crossed over to the Woodstock Inn. And my apologies to anyone whose car we accidentally harmed, but we were dragging rocks across the sides of all of the cars along the Woodstock Inn. These are mostly rich people, so I suppose they can probably, afford the paint job. But we were just dragging the rocks along them and laughing and saying weird shit. And he would say weird shit like one time I was in the sped shed and he was playing with a puzzle with one of the teachers, actually. And the teacher did something. I don't exactly know what he did. But then Chris took the puzzle and just flips it up and says, "Puzzle loser," and starts laughing. He was funny as hell. Copium poppies, false. Earth is a hexagonal pyramid. Hexagonal pyramid. We proved it. We'll send you the vid we made. Oh, God. Spocko. Bet the IRS, the US government funded itself on excise taxes. Yeah. Mike the Wop. Clank, motherfuckers. Hi, Tarl. Hello. Spike 11117. As someone who's worked in the medical field for 15 years, it's true. They want you sick and broken. Healthy patients don't pay. Hopefully I'll be out soon. See, that's the problem when you introduce any form of profit motive into pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. Why would they want to cure the disease? Unless it's some existential crisis, they're just going to treat it. Just like with AIDS. I'm sure they could have found a cure for AIDS by now. But there is no cure. If they bombard you with a bunch of very expensive drugs, they can get your viral load to virtually zero. But they want to sell you those viral drugs. There's a reason for this. Urgent. We need... Oh, that was the one I was just covering. Yeah. Anyway. Whoops. Yeah, I do think that we need an independent study. The problem is trying to find a group that can actually be independent to do so. Rebellati. Fauci should be in jail. I agree. Copium poppies. Here is the vid. Alright, I'm going to copy that link. I don't know if I can actually use Instagram links, though, because I don't have an Instagram account. Okay, yeah, it'll play. Yeah, I remember Chris Barrett. He was a real fun dude. Again, my best friend when I was in elementary school. I had two best friends in elementary school. Him, and I had a dude named Tony. And he was the actually the token black kid in middle school. He was the only one there. And he was always cool. And, we get along really, really well. I didn't really get along with a lot of people when I was in elementary or middle school. Only until high school. Mike the Wop. Cash cures AIDS. South Park said so. Well, yeah, if you have enough cash, you can suppress the virus to virtual zero. Last Beacon is still rambling about both right. My God. Copium poppies. Make one. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. Yeah. The transiting of the moon proves the spherical nature of celestial objects fairly easily. You can also see this transit on various planets with the proper telescope. So, yeah, the Earth is round, and we did go to the moon. Vulgar Prophet. I'm a little late with this one, but do you think gay marriage will wreck the midterms like abortion did before? I'm hoping that the GOP is not stupid enough to blunder into this particular issue. gay marriage has been established as legal. It makes no legal sense why two men or two women in a monogamous relationship, hell, I don't even give a shit if it's a polygamous relationship, can't have basically medical proxy and proprietarian rights. It's actually a libertarian position when you think about it. I don't give a shit if they both got dicks and they both got pussies. It means nothing to me. I'm not one to judge. You're asking the wrong person if you want moral judgment. Trust me. My moral judgment is, please don't fuck that diseased cadaver of a dog over there. Please don't do that. Copium poppies, aren't you supposed to eat bovine every time it's mentioned? Yeah, well then I would eat the whole jar. It would be a problem. Tonight my meal will be antipasto. I made a delicious antipasto. Unfortunately, I forgot to get the cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to have to cut those up later, pop them in, remix it. It's already chilled, it's already ready to go and everything. Sigil stone. The earth isn't flat. The earth is fat. P-H-A-T. Pretty hot and tempting, and that bitch loves to procreate. Get up in that earthussy. Oh, God. King of Biltong. Here's Anton. There's my man. Looking for some healthy meat snacks to add to your diet? Try our Biltong. Almost 50% protein, packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and more. Go to www.biltongusa.com. Code STICKS for 10% off. Yeah, Anton can get you what you need. It ain't just both, right? It ain't just Biltong. We got merch and everything else available. Do I have any other odd stories to tell? You gotta stay hydrated in this weather, otherwise you're gonna pass out at some point. Sigil stone. What in the fuck is antipasta? Is it advanced Italian science to create a antipasta faster than light drive? No, antipasto. Antipasto is similar to a regular Greek pasta that you would get in the store, only you don't have pasta in it, and it adds meat. That's basically one of the only differences. I added a little bit too much vinegary oliviness to it, so I'm going to have to recalibrate the sauce a little bit. And then I need to add the tomatoes, obviously. Other than that, though, it came out really, really well. And by the way, there are two ways to make it. The first way is you have a sort of charcuterie. So you would have like a big platter, and you have the meat, you have the cheese, you have different vegetables and stuff like that, and it sort of gets mixed together in your bowl. The other way is simply to mix it all together, this is the easier way. Mix it together in a pot with whatever sauce you're using. I use a mixture of olive oil and vinaigrette with certain herbs and some celery salt and actually a little bit of sugar. This is one of the few things I'll add sugar to. And it's always better the second day. Just fucking trust me. Everything sort of blends together, makes everything more mild. So the olives are a little bit less vinegary. The cheese is a little bit more mild. And it just sort of blends together. It just works. Rebellati. Olives taste horrible. I like every kind of olive myself. Black olives I think are my favorite, but I like the green olives with pimentos. I like those. And the Kalamata ones, those are good, although one time I got a container of them when I was in the Netherlands. There's a reason why I'm missing a tooth actually here. I got them and it was marked as pitless. So I figure, well, I can crunch down on them at my leisure. There's no pits in them. Well, there was still a pit in one of them. Crunch, whoops, and then my tooth went halfway sideways and hurt a great deal. And I'm like, oh shit. So I went in the bathroom, I just ripped it out of my head. It barely bled though. Hedu! Did you see they come out with a Heinz smoothie at Smoothie King? Yeah, I saw that. I'm interested in trying one. Sigil Stone. You have to recalibrate the pasta and anti-pasta drive to escape the Klingons' new rice missile? Yeah, no, antipasto, the only real difference is if I'm making antipasto, I won't use feta. I'll use, instead, I'll use just a standard cheese. And you can use pretty much any one you want. Standard cheddar. I've got Vermont cheese, which I don't know exactly what that means, but it's from Cabot, so it's made in Vermont. And just slice it up, put it in there. In the vinegar, it'll probably dissolve into a slurry more than anything else. And then you use, olives, cucumber, pepper, and so forth. Onion, red onion preferably, although you don't have to use that. Whereas with a Greek pasta, you use feta cheese and you add pasta. So it would be roughly similar, but one of them has pasta and feta, and the other one has like a hard cheese and does not have the pasta. So I'll be eating that later. And by the way, it is exceptionally healthy. You're getting your protein, you're getting your fiber, you're getting your yum yum. So, yeah. Lemon Curd Zero, you don't like bad science fiction? Yeah, I do actually. Just the other night was watching, what was it? Voyage to the Prehistoric Planet. It's one of the most poorly rated movies of all time within the science fiction genre. Old 60s movie. I think they bootstrapped footage from a Soviet sci-fi movie, if I remember correctly, and then dubbed part of it over. And then they had Basil Rathbone in it. I don't know why he took up the part. I personally find it fun. I think that it's a hilarious movie. But it's more humorous than it is, actual sci-fi. Never capitulate. Do you like Babylon 5? Abso-fucking-lutely. Londo is my favorite character, by the way. I side with the Centauri Republic. Inland Surfer. Pasta snappers must try the antipasto. If you snap your pasta in half before you put it into the pot, every Italian in the world will hate you. Do not do that. It is not necessary. The way to do it properly is as follows. The pot will be a little bit bigger, maybe, than you would normally use. You take the pasta in your hands, linguine, spaghetti, angel hair, whatever the hell you happen to use. I prefer linguine mostly. You put it in the center and give it a good twist. It will spiral around the sides. It will start to sink into the water. And then you just push it down and let it go, basically. Make sure to use a little bit of salt, and I usually put just a little bit of butter in it, or olive oil. It doesn't really matter which one you use. And it won't stick together. It won't become a sticky mass. And you can then cook it al dente. You can cook it fully through. It doesn't really matter. But don't break the pasta, please. I'm not even Italian, and even I feel offended by people doing that. Debbie Donovan, Sticks, you aren't going to cover the level 3 mass casualty event in Pennsylvania. Steel plant just went boom. I didn't hear about that. Let me look it up. We have plenty of time. Uh, oh, yeah, 40, about an hour ago. Oh, people are trapped under the rubble, too. Dozens injured after. Get out of my way. After explosion at U.S. Steel Clairton Coke Works plant. There are dozens injured and people trapped in the wreckage at the moment. Jesus. Yeah, that doesn't look good, dude. Unfortunately, that's likely to lead to multiple deaths. Thank you for the breaking news, by the way. Herbalati. What about the 3 under 12 robbing a drugstore? Um, Let me look it up. I'm not seeing anything about it. Oh, police arrest juvenile after 2 attempted armed robberies at Savannah drugstores. I don't know if that's the story that you're thinking of. If you can give me more information, I can look it up. I need to know the location and date, preferably. Lemon Curd Zero. Under 12 years old, robbing a drugstore? I wonder. Let's play a game, everyone. Let's play Name That Race. Yeah. I hate to say it very plainly, but playing that game, it's pretty easy to win. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that. Turns out it's a bunch of Irish kids. They just wanted to be able to buy some peas to make soup. Yeah, North 33A. When the headline doesn't tell you, you can tell. I've noticed this. Don't worry. Hmm. Duke of Earl. I make pasta with a homemade garlic butter sauce. Lots of garlic, 2 heads, and a stick of butter. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm still trying to replicate the garlic bread that one high school teacher made. Nick will back me up on this. It was like the most delicious thing ever. It's my, well, I guess it's my 3rd favorite food of all time. My first favorite would be the crawfish bisque that I had at Ralph's on the Park in New Orleans. If you ever go there, tell them Stick sent you and get the crawfish bisque, or crawdad bisque, or crayfish bisque, or whatever the hell you call it. Second would be eel sushi, but this would be a really close third. Mrs. Rayford's garlic bread. Oh my god. And I came so close to mastering it the last time that I made garlic bread. It was delicious. Mine was insane. But Mrs. Rayford's was like, did she sprinkle it with crack powder or something like that? I have no clue. I'm still trying to reverse engineer it. I vow that before I die, there will come a day when I master garlic bread like she did. Spike, have you ever seen 1960 Lost World? In one scene, a real alligator and Komodo dragon fight with taped-on fins. It's so stupid it's great. I'm not sure that I watched that one. I know I watched the really campy Lost World that was made in, like the mid-90s or something like that. It was pretty good. I mean, as a kid, it was pretty good. I don't know if I would like it now. It was the one where the British soldiers there had that bombard. And, yeah. Sigilstone. Stick still wishing he fucked Mrs. Rayford for her secrets. Well, firstly, you spelled her name wrong. Shouldn't be a Y, it should be an I. But yeah, I wouldn't do that, but, she cooked like a boss. She was a master at Italian food. Oh, the mail came. Hee hee. CJ, we stole cars for fun. Forklift once, but the train topped everyone. I'm king. What? Yeah. Here's the basis of Mrs. Rayford's garlic bread. I know what the basic premise is. If you get those long loaves of bread and you parse them into sections, stuff them into a pan, marinate them with melted butter, olive oil, garlic, of course, because it's garlic bread. You're going to need some basil and some thyme, and then you crisp them. You can put cheese on top if you want, but it's better to just do more olive oil and melted butter in a second session. I think she double cooked them, actually. So they'd be mostly cooked at first, and they start crisping up. Then you apply another layer, and then you sort of cook it in. This is basically, I think, what she did. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you could put anything on them. You could put tomato sauce, pesto sauce, cheese, whatever the hell you want. And then at the end, when they're almost done, you put the Parmesan cheese on. Lots of it, too. And it doesn't take very long to crisp in. It is fucking delicious. When I made it, it was almost as good as hers. But just almost. It's like almost only counts in horseshoes, I suppose. It's like if hers was a 10 out of 10, mine was like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It came close, but I flew too close to the sun. Then all of the garlic bread got eaten. It was a terrible time. I'm being a little bit, I'm being a little bit hyperbolic here. But seriously, her garlic bread was nothing to fuck with. She should have entered a contest. She would have won easily. Crispy Sticks Death Row Final Meal. Well, if I had a final meal, it would be poisonous mushrooms sautéed to perfection so that I could die beforehand and then give the middle finger to the executioner. Harrison Bergeron. Want to get rid of seafood smell after eating shellfish? Take half a lemon and squeeze it in your hands and rub your hands together. Then wash with soap. Works every time. Interesting tip. I don't know about that. I guess it's the acidity. Wonder if you could use vinegar or something like that for it too. Yeah, Mrs. Rayford had the best garlic bread that I've ever had, and one of the best foods that I've ever tasted. If you dipped that in like a marinara sauce, which we had lasagna as well, so it didn't really matter, it's basically perfect. I don't know exactly how she made it though, but I had been consulting with my friend Nick from high school, and I was trying to figure out how to reverse engineer the recipe. I know the premise, I can understand the flavor profile, I just don't fully understand the methodology behind making them perfect. I know that they're meant to be very buttery and have a great deal of Parmesan on them, but I don't know exactly 100% how she manufactured them. I will find it out someday, though. This is now one of my life goals. Once I find out, it's going in a fucking cookbook, by the way. We'll have to name it out of. We'll have to name it after Rayford. She will get credit for her delicious bread. Inland Surfer, where did Lady Garlic Bread shop for food? I like drizzling balsamic vinegar on the garlic breads. Yeah, I don't put vinegar on garlic bread. No, garlic bread is supposed to be cheesy and buttery and oily. It's not supposed to be a health food. You dip it in some tomato sauce and shit. Or garlic sauce. Or whatever the hell else you want. Yeah. I've never made a good lasagna. That's one meal, actually, that I've never managed to properly make. When I made lasagna, it tasted really good. And the texture was really good. So there was nothing wrong with that. It's just, it was a little bit flat. It was a little bit, I don't know, I didn't quite do it right. It's not that it was bad, it's just that you wouldn't buy it in a restaurant. Copium poppies. I disagree. Balsamic could work. Maybe if you're into that, but I prefer my garlic bread to be ultra cheesy and ultra oily. And then you dip it in a sauce, or you pair it with, lasagna or something like that. Her lasagna was good too, actually. Sigil Stone. No one has ever made good lasagna. Entering the ring, Mrs. Rayford. Rabbit. My lasagna is best without the ricotta. Sub mozzarella. Yeah, you can use either. I think mozzarella was in Rayford's lasagna. Actually, I think both were in there. Come to think of it. As usual, we have devolved into food Vance. This pleases me greatly, by the way. Spaz out. Great, now I have a stiffy from all this foodie app for no reason. Yeah, no, I mean, it makes me hungry. I've already made a shit ton of antipasto. I just gotta slice up the tomatoes and pile them in. There's plenty of sauce for them. If I don't keep hydrated, eventually I'll pass out. It's like, I think almost 90 degrees here right now. Oh, yeah. How lovely. Ronald Simmons, Spawn Ranch salad dressing. I get the reference. Although it's an H, not a W. Yeah, I think the perfect lasagna, once you get the noodles sort of softened up and you layer them out, I make my own tomato sauce. I would use ricotta, generally speaking. And so you do that. You can make it vegetarian too. I mean, if you want to, you can use seasoned beans, but meat is better. And so you do a layer of noodles, of course. Put the sauce on, put the ricotta on, put some meat in, another layer of noodles, and then you just sort of stack it up and then put it in the oven. Now, everything has been partially pre-cooked. The sauce has, of course, been made into sauce. The noodles have at least been semi-boiled, al dente style. And then the burger, of course, which you're probably using, although you can use other meat if you want, that's been cooked as well. And ricotta doesn't need any cooking. So you just layer it up, just pile it up into a mountain of delicious Italian goodness. And then you just put it in the oven, basically. Lemon curd zero. Nice thick layers of filling and fewer noodles. Yeah, I like a lot of cheesiness in my lasagna. A lot of cheesiness and sauciness. I agree with you on that one. It's like if you have too many noodles, then it's just a pile of carbs that's mildly seasoned. So you're right. RB2649 79C. Hi Sticks, your podcast is great. I especially enjoy sharing to my Libnut friends. They're always so uninformed about everything. Most people are uninformed about everything. This goes for the left and the right. It's a thankless job when you think about it. I like to think that core clankers are part of an oligarchic court of sorts of people that have a triple digit IQ. Cooking Inferno. Hiya, Sticks. I'm quiet today because I dislocated a couple ribs and I'm on painkillers. Oh, well, that fucking sucks. Hope you feel better. Make sure to use those painkillers, man. Shoot a couple of them my way, man. Just joking, of course. I don't do that sort of thing. Actually, I don't think I'd even use painkillers if I had had surgery or something. I remember I knew somebody once who had fairly major surgery, and I won't say who it is, but was on one of those pump machines. You know, you can press the button and it injects you with painkillers, and had been like totally fucked out of her mind by by painkillers anyway, and thought that the hospital ward was Star Wars. Actually, believed that she was in a spaceship. I tell the rest of the story, but it's not mine to tell. Sigil Stone, Sticks, we gotta know. My IQ is 69. Yeah, I'm not gonna take an IQ test here. Oh yeah. Don't if it's saying that your IQ is 69, that's a pretty good indicator that it's inaccurate. Just saying. I think it's probably a little bit higher than that. And Surfer, how about some Chester cheese stick Cheeto lasagna? Gnarly. I have no clue what that is. Chester the Molester's lasagna? Is that where you put your dick in the lasagna and then have small children cut it apart and hope that one of them cuts your dick off or something like that? I've literally never heard of it though, in all seriousness. Copium Poppies, fact, Totino's pizza rolls are actually just ravioli. They used to have this one food. Let me bitch for a moment, since we're just doing a Vance stream until I go offline. Let me rant for a moment. They used to have something, and I don't know exactly what it was, in Price Chopper, actually. And it was like these long rolls that were filled with cheese and sauce, and they were delicious. I loved them. I can't even remember what they were terming them, but I can remember that I looked it up at the time, and it wasn't the proper term. And you would just literally just microwave them and eat them. But they discontinued them. And this is something, I'm cursed, okay? I have many, many magical powers. But there's one curse upon me. And that's that everything that I enjoy eating gets discontinued. The apple fritters at that one restaurant at Shaw's, the apple fritters at Shaw's, which it took me years to find more of them. The pasta, the pizza things at Price Chopper. The pizza rolls at Jumbo's, actually, in Netherlands. And like there are 10,000 examples of this. Every time that I like a product, it gets discontinued. I must have the most odd taste of any person in the world. It happens all the goddamn time. Sigil, it's not an actual test, dumbass. My actual IQ is 174. It's retarded Twitter thing. What's your Twitter IQ? Use the link. Well, I'll take that later and see. It'll probably come out to be like 40 or something like that. Can I get up? I'm not intelligent enough to use my legs. Acolyte71, Sticks, got any books you could recommend on tricks to achieve lucid dreaming? If you want to achieve lucid dreaming, the best thing you can do is try to fall asleep flat on your back. And when you get just a dream mode, try to tell yourself, hey, I'm dreaming. That's the best idea. The second best would be under a shit ton of stress, because that's what triggered me lucid dreaming. And it worked. I mean, I was gliding around the room looking at my own body. It was the most strange experience I think I've had in my entire life, actually. Rabbit. Make your own fritters. Yeah, I would like to make apple fritters, actually. I think I would add less sugar than they usually add, though. And more cinnamon. Copium poppies. The food that I am pissed about being discontinued is Schwann's Barquitos. Haven't had one since I was like 6. Yeah, one that pisses me off is they used to have these orange pops at the co-op in Woodstock. This is back in the mid-90s. And they were really, really good. They were way better than the ones you can get in the store now in the coolers. And but it was a push pop. And I got them a few times with my mom when she would go to the co-op for like herbs and spices, because, you know, it's cheaper there. She had a co-op membership. And each time we went there, I would get a push pop. And most of them were orange flavored, but they were different from the ones that you get now. They were much more creamy, and they were delicious, actually. I fucking loved them, especially on a hot summer's day. The co-op only lasted a few years, but, you know, they were good while they lasted. But it was some hippie-trippy variety, and unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the brand. I don't know if they even exist anymore. Sigil, I'm not an... Oh, wait, that's the one I just read. Cooking Inferno. Pizza rolls are actually just a vehicle for tricking you into eating molten lava. Yeah, don't you talk shit about pizza bagel bites. Inland Surfer. Chester Cheetah. Chester Cheetah. It just reminds me of Chester the Molester. Is the Cheeto mascot's name, and he's a cheese dick. Don't be a cheese dick. Yeah, no, Chester is always associated with bad things. That particular name. Mark, there's a restroom in Manhattan at Star Wars equipped with lightsaber flush. That sounds bitchin', actually. I've been in Manhattan a couple of times. I prefer Brooklyn myself. Sigil Stone, prepare to be disgusted. CBS News, Chicago, Butter Carbon, and Bill Gates. Oh God, what the hell happened now? I'll drag it over here. What the hell happened? Butter made from carbon tastes like the real thing. Gets backing from Bill Gates. Thank you very much for this article. That is definitely going in tomorrow's news. What the fuck? A company in Batavia, Illinois is making butter in a way you've never seen before. No animals, no plants, no oils. This butter is made from carbon. The sustainably focused, what a buzz term, by the way, approach has the blessing and backing of Bill Gates. Oh, I'm so happy. Saint Bill Gates has blessed this. Therefore, it must be good, right? And then you find out it causes cancer or something. It looks, smells, and tastes like the butter we all know, but it's made without the farmland fertilizers or emissions tied to the typical process. This unprecedented process is happening at the facilities of Savour in an industrial park in the suburbs west of Chicago. So, you're using this gas right now to cook your food, and we're proposing that we would like to first make your food with the gas, said Kathleen Alexander, co-founder and CEO of Savour. Oh, so let me get this straight. The same people that are telling us that fossil fuel is evil want to turn elements of that fossil fuel into fake butter. Oh my god. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm gonna fucking lose it laughing. That makes no sense. This is pretty novel, to be able to make food that looks and tastes and feels exactly like dairy butter. You know, you could just get actual butter, but with no agriculture whatsoever, said Jordan Beeden-Charles, food scientist for Savour, and without a long ingredient list the average person can't pronounce. Yeah, I'm sure that you can't really pronounce it, because it's probably full of fucking chemicals. It's really just our fat, some water. Our fat, do you mean human fat? Is this soylent green? The world may never know. A little bit of lecithin, the soy, of course, as an emulsifier, and some natural flavor and color, he said. Okay, this is definitely going in the docket for tomorrow. I'm going to have to read the entire article. Thank you very much for that news tip. It's fucking nuts. Poison yourself. Kill yourself in order to save the environment. Thank you, Sigil Stone. That one's going to be very interesting. My Okipovi, I've been here with you for about 0 years now, and I think you are great. I want to tell you, thank you for your garden videos. Love them. Thank you even more for turning me on to Sleazy P Martini. Yeah, I got sleazy right back here. There's a reason for that. Thank you very much. I think you meant 10 years instead of 0 years. Yeah, 10 years. Okay. I got that. Yeah, so apparently they are now making fake butter. Sigil, glad to ruin your appetite today. Oh, don't worry, I'm still going to be eating that antipasto. That doesn't require butter. But, yeah, I am not going to eat fake butter. I suppose that you use that to roast your locusts or whatever the hell else they're preparing. I mean, I did eat the candied locusts from Japan, but that is the thing. Eating bugs is more of a novelty. Unless it's a survival food, like you have no other food resources, it's basically like, hey, I've got a can of bugs, crickets or something like that, or a tarantula, and I'm eating it for show because it's fun. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a staple food. It doesn't make any sense, and it certainly doesn't scale to the agricultural level. Let's say that you want to, for example, produce billions of mealyworms in order to provide people's protein. What are you going to have to do? Well, they need to eat something now, don't they? Where are you going to get the food for them to eat? Answer that question, you'll wonder why this could possibly be a strategy. Sigil Stone, that's okay. They're already working with companies to sneak it into the food supply and not tell you when they're using it as an ingredient. That's why we need stronger food labeling laws. I don't believe in hyper-regulating food at all. I do believe that people should be aware of what's in the food, however. Inland surfer Chester Gates is a cheese dick. Heard he is behind produce preservative appeal. Chester. Chester the molester. Yeah, big problem. That's actually a good song by Sloan. It has nothing to do with, like, child abuse or anything like that. It's about some dude who skips his bar tab over and over, and then, you know, whatever. He skips out on women, leaves them with the bill. I listened to that. God, it must have been fucking 15 years ago or something like that. Ooh, book. Montana mosquitoes. Holy hell, they're so big you can rotisserie them. Yeah, I know. There's that. I don't know if anyone has seen it. There's that one African tribe, and they have these little nets on sticks, and they swing them around their heads during the breeding season for certain gnats, and they just gather them up by the tens of thousands, and then they squish them together and they turn them into basically hamburgers, and then they'll cook them off, and you know, it's a cheap source of protein, actually. Ah, yes, CP Simple. Yeah, that was indeed in Hustler. I've seen a couple of those comics, actually. But it's also a song by Sloan. And it's also, along with, what is it? Kinko Stinko, the kid-loving clown. It's sort of like a nexus of, you know, rapey bullshit. A nexus of humor that probably shouldn't have been made. Just saying. Cooking Inferno. One of the side benefits of World War II rationing, people bought local veggies, meats, and fish to supplement. Local, not factory food is the best. Also, they grew victory gardens and things like that. Rabbit. Good day to you as well. Just tell us we love the Hexenhammers in Lincolnton, North Carolina. Love to visit us sometime. We need to get down to the Carolinas, I guess. Yeah, that would be fun. I mean, not this time of year it'd be a little bit too hot for me. Even fucking Vermont is too hot and muggy for me at the moment. But at some future date, maybe like in a few months when it's a little bit cooler, yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Like to see Tennessee as well. Get my ass back down to Louisiana. Go and get some Cajun food. Go to Ralph's on the Park. Trust me, it's a fun time. If you're ever in Louisiana, go to Ralph's on the Park in New Orleans. You'll regret it if you don't. Cooking Inferno. Hustler cartoons were the absolute best. Yeah, I've only seen a couple of clip outs of them. I never read Hustler. Was never interested. I was too busy being a National Geographic kid. But anyway, yeah, I've seen some of the Chester the Molester stuff that was in there. Some of it was so messed up. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. I mean, in a magazine like Hustler, obviously. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. CP Simple, irony. Styx would be violating his probation by going to NOLA. False, actually. Scott Bullion sent $4.99. Thank you very much. No comment. No, actually, I can go to NOLA. I am perfectly allowed to go to New Orleans. Anyways, I'm going to go offline at this time. And I'll probably try to get some news together for tomorrow. But I'll do that in a little bit. Right now, it's too goddamn hot and sweaty to stay in the goddamn office. So I'll end the stream. Sigil. So I'm conflicted. My phone is about paid off, and I'm not sure if I'm going to upgrade my Galaxy Fold 4 to a Fold 7, or be real retarded and see if Verizon carries the Samsung answer to Apple Vision Pro. You're asking the goddamn wrong person on phones. You'll have to ask somebody else, because I can barely get my phone to work half the time. Anyways, I'm gonna go offline, and I'll be back tomorrow with more news. That's about all. Peace out.